will also be important for understanding regulation of blood pressure. Some part of this regulation will also be discussed during regulation of blood pressure. Okay, we are also having cardiovascular control mechanisms involving local system and the organ system. The organ and the local system, they may also modify the blood vessels, and thereby they can also affect their blood flow. So this will be discussed in third class. Today we will be discussing on this. In the next class we may be discussing on cardiac output. Thereafter we will be discussing about blood pressure and then the local and systemic control. Okay, systemic control or organ control. Systemic control is more effective term. So today our competency is describe heart rate, factors affecting heart rate and its regulation. Everybody is having a normal heart rate, and whenever it is changed under physiological conditions, say for example you are standing, immediately heart rate will be raised. When you are exercising, your heart rate will be raised. When you are emotionally excited, again it will come down to the normal. So how these heart rates are changed, increased, and how they are brought back to the normal level, that is the regulations. Okay, so under normal condition there will be variations, but immediately this will be brought back to its normal heart rate. So this is the control, this is the regulatory mechanism. So we will be knowing about this. And this regulatory mechanism for heart rate is mostly by nervous system, mostly by neural mechanisms. And we will also see this neural mechanisms also involves three important things. One is the center, and the center lies in medulla oblongata, in medulla. And this center is influenced by higher centers also, like cerebral cortex, like hypothalamus, like limbic system. They can also affect the medullary vasomotor centers. Okay, so one is important is the center for controlling mechanism. Again, another things are important. What are these? These are autonomic nervous system. We know autonomic nervous system has two components. One is sympathetic nervous system, and another is parasympathetic nervous system. So they will also be, these two system will also be involved in regulation of heart rate. Okay, so they actually control the heart rate based on some reflexes. So we will see what are these reflexes. So we will be studying the vasomotor centers, we will be studying the autonomic nervous system, sympathetic part, parasympathetic, how they are controlling blood pressure, and also they involve systemic, sympathetic and parasympathetic. They will involve some reflexes like sinoatrial reflex, Bain-Briggs reflex. So there is basal gyrus reflex. So we will see how these reflexes modify. Pulmonary J receptors, pulmonary J reflex, they can also modify the heart rate reflexly. So we will go into this. This is very important because this same mechanism will also be involved for blood pressure regulation. So blood pressure will be regulated either by vasoconstriction or vasodilation and by increasing, decreasing the heart rate. So these are the main thing. Okay, these will be done by the neurally. There is also hormonal regulation of blood pressure. There is also local regulation of blood pressure. So we will discuss in later classes. Now let us see what is our normal heart rate. Our normal heart rate, as you know, it is written in the book as 72 beats per minute. But when you find your heart rate is not always 72 beats per minute, so there is a range. What is the range? 70 to or 60 to 80 beats per minute. Okay, so this is the normal range. It varies. We will discuss what are the factors that causes the variation of resting heart rate. So you can see here normal heart rate is 72 and range is 60 to 80. While we were in fetal stage, our heart rate was 100, near about 140 to 150 beats per minute. And at birth it is about 130 to 140 beats per minute, and when we attain near about 12 years age, it comes down to 100. And after that, at the adult stage, it is 60 to 80 beats per minute, and in old age, it is about 100 beats per minute. And what is tachycardia? When the increased heart rate, and that increased heart rate beyond 100 beats per minute. So when you will be exercising, so your heart rate may go beyond this 130, 140, 600, 600, 200, 180. So these are temporary tachycardia. These are not going to sustain. When you will be coming to resting position, it will be again brought down to the resting heart rate. So these are not sustaining. So when this increased heart rate is sustained, more than 100 beats per minute, it is sustained. It has to be sustained. So when it is sustained, so then only we will call it tachycardia. Similarly, when the heart rate is below 50 beats per minute, then we will call it bradycardia, and it has to be sustained. So whenever I find his heart rate is below 50, whenever I check it heart rate. So this is called bradycardia. And that one is called tachycardia. So besides, now we'll see what are the factors that affect. So one thing we can see here, age is one of the important factors that causes variation in heart rate, isn't it? So one of the important causes is age. Another cause is sex. So your gender, in female, heart rate is lower than the male part. Okay, and after that, and what are the, so age we have seen, sex we have seen, diurnal variation. Throughout the day, our heart rate varies. So if you check your heart rate in the morning, before bed, while you are in bed, before getting up, so that time you check your heart rate, it is less. When you are sleeping, your heart rate is less. When you are awake and will be walking, standing or discussing, then your heart rate will be increased. So it varies throughout the day. At night it is less, and during daytime it is more. Since we are talking sometimes laughing or depressed, so emotional changes are going on, and it is going to affect. Emotion is very important factor that affects heart rate. We'll discuss how emotion affects. So respiration. During respiration is one of the another important factor. When we inhale, our cardiac activity is increased. When heart rate is increased. When we exhale, our heart rate. This is called respiratory arrhythmia. If you take the ECG tracing, you will find, so during inspiration, it will find rate is more, and during expiration the rate is more. If it is like this, then we call it respiratory arrhythmia. Arrhythmia means no rhythm is changed. So during this inspiration, one type of rhythm, now it is faster, rhythm is faster, and while you are exhaling, then it is relatively lower. So this sort of arrhythmia, if it is there, this sort of arrhythmia is called respiratory arrhythmia. Then body temperature. It is when your body temperature rise, say for example in fever, what happens? Your heart rate increases. So body temperature is one of the important factor. So those who will be having high body temperature, normal temperature, but it is towards the high end, his or her heart rate will be high. Then your body temperature, what it causes? Increase in heart rate. Another factor is environmental temperature. See, during winter you will find your heart rate is low, and during summer your heart rate will be more. So body temperature, environmental temperature also affects. So another thing is posture. Your posture. When you will be in supine position, your heart rate will be less. When you will be taking the erect posture, your heart rate will be increased. We will explain later why it is. There will be one experiment you will be doing in your practical class. Postural changes, you have to observe what are the changes in heart rate and what are the changes in blood pressure, and you have to explain why these changes. Okay, so we'll take this practical experiment. So these are the another factor is exercise. How much heart rate will be increased? What will be the intensity of heart rate? It depends on the metabolic demand of the body. If your muscular activity is more, metabolic demand for oxygen, metabolic demand for nutrients will be more. So metabolic demand for waste removal of waste material, this will be more. So who will be supplying who will be doing for blood, and who will be sending the blood to the tissues? Who will be supplying this blood to the heart? So it has to increase the activity. That's why during exercise, heart will increase. If you perform various vigorous exercise, your heart rate may increase up to 180 to 100. Okay, so it depends how much, to what extent heart rate will be increased. And when you will be taking rest, then immediately it will be coming down to its normal state. And those persons who are more fit, who are more less fit, who can bring down their heart rate to normal faster, they are more fit. And they who take more time to bring down they are physically weak. Okay. Now tachycardia. What are the conditions where tachycardia is seen? So it can be seen in two conditions. One is physiological conditions, another is pathological conditions. What are the physiological conditions? One is exercise. Okay. Another is physiological condition. Childhood, you have seen. In childhood there is increased heart rate, and during pregnancy also heart rate increases, and when there is emotional change, like when you are excited and when you are having anxiety, say what happens right before your exam, right before your Vivabusi, your heart rate increases. Okay, so these are the causes, physiological causes. Then some pathological conditions that may cause tachycardia. One is fever. You have experienced this. Another is anemia. Another is hypoxia. So they can also cause tachycardia. Another is hyperthyroidism, not hypo. Hypothyroidism means there is excess secretion of T3, T4, thyroxine, triiodothyronine. So they are actually catabolic in nature. They increases catabolic processes in the tissues. As a result, the tissue needs more oxygen. To supply more oxygen, heart rate is increased. So this is the cause of the hyperthyroidism. So hyperthyroidism causes tachycardia. Hypothyroidism, there will be no T3, T4. As a result, less catabolic processes. As a result, less cardiac activity. So in that case, we will find in hypothyroidism, we will find what? Just opposite. What? Bradycardia. Okay. Then increased catecholamines. Catecholamines means adrenaline, noradrenaline. We have adrenal glands. If its secretion, adrenal medullary secretion is increased, then heart rate is going to be increased. If these are also secreted from sympathetic nerve endings. These are also secreted from adrenaline, noradrenaline. So they can increase when their secretion is increased. Say they can also increase the heart rate. So catecholamines also increase the heart rate. Cardiomyopathy, dilated heart. Since the heart is, in that case, it is losing, its ejection fraction is very less, a lot of blood is accumulated, but it is unable to pump out. So they are trying to increase the cardiac output, so their frequency is increased. In the heart, frequency increased, but their cardiac output, stroke volume is very less. They are not capable of sending adequate amount of blood. So that's why they repeatedly contract, but force of contraction is less. So in cardiomyopathy, valvular heart disease. In case of, say, there are sclerotic valves or incomplete closure, we have discussed it. So this sort of, there are various valvular diseases. This sort of valvular heart disease also causes tachycardia. So what are the pathological conditions? Fever, anemia, hypoxia, hyperthyroidism, increased catecholamine secretions, and cardiomyopathy, and valvular heart disease. And let us see what are the factors that causes bradycardia, means heart rate below 50. So bradycardia also seen during physiological conditions, another in pathological condition. In physiology, what is that? As I said, during sleep, heart rate may come down below 50 also. So that is another. And the athletes, those who the athletes, long distance runner, marathoner, so if you footballer, cricketer, if you observe, or the individuals, who perform daily morning exercise, afternoon exercise, so if you find their resting heart rate, you will find it is much less. Even it may be 50, 45, so 55. So their heart rate is less. So you will be, when they are more fit person, their heart rate is low. So how they are maintaining their stroke volume? By, what is that? They don't need to beat their heart at the rate of 72 beats per minute. Why? What is the reason? By training, they have developed their heart. They increase the musculature of the heart. So as a result, their force of contraction is much high in them, even in resting condition. You are pumping how much blood in one beat? Only 70 ml. But by one beat they can send 90 ml, 80 ml, 90 ml, 100 ml of blood into the circulation. So if they want to send 5 liters of blood in 1 minute, you will be requiring 70 beats, 72 beats, but same amount of blood, if they want to distribute in the arterial system, then how many beats they require? In 1 beat, they can send, say, suppose 90 ml, 100 ml. So for sending 5 liters of blood in 1 minute, how many beats are required? 5000 ml divided by 100. Only 50 beats. So by 50 beats, the same amount of blood they can eject into the circulation. That's why their heart rate is low. So this is the reason of low heart rate, bradycardia in. And how it is maintained? How it is maintained? It is maintained by increased vagal activity, increased vagal tone, increased parasympathetic activity. So they actually lower the heart rate. And there are some drugs that can also lower heart rate. So cause bradycardia. What are these? Beta blockers, channel blockers, digitalis, anti-arrhythmic drugs. So these are the drugs that can cause bradycardia. Okay. Now the regulation, important part. Suppose you will be exercising. So you have to supply more blood to the tissues, to supply more oxygen, to supply more nutrients. As a result, so if blood demand is increased, then how can you perform it? By increasing your heart rate. Okay, so when this demand is fulfilled, means when you are not exercising, then there is requirement is decreased. So no need of extra heartbeats. So now it has to be brought down. So this change, whenever needed, we can increase the heart rate. Whenever required, again, we can bring it down to the normal. This is the regulatory mechanism. For this regulatory mechanism, what we need? We need the center. And the center is located in where? In medulla. Okay, in medulla. So medullary region is the center for controlling the heart rate. Now there will be several other centers they can influence the activity of the medullary vasomotor center. In short, we call vasomotor center, VMC. V stands for vaso, M for motor, C for center, medullary vasomotor center. Now, what is there in the vasomotor centers? What is there in the vasomotor center? Let us see. In the vasomotor center, you will find pressure area, depressor area. Pressure area, depressor area. Okay. When pressure area means it will compress we have blood vessels. Some blood vessels we have classified the blood vessels into, one is the first part, compliance vessel. Means when blood is ejected, they can expand. That extra amount of blood they can retain. When no blood will be entering, then again they will be constricted. Now the blood will be flowing to the artery. So these are compliance part. These are the aorta. And after aorta, arterioles are there. They are called resistant arteries. Why? Their muscular coat are able to create resistance. When they contract, there will be increased resistance. And means increased resistance, blood pressure will be increased. More resistance, more blood pressure. So when it is needed, blood pressure has to be increased. Now they will be constricted. There will be vasoconstriction. Okay, then blood pressure will be increased. When we need to lower the blood pressure, so they will be dilated. So now blood can pass easily, no less resistance. So blood pressure will be less. So this way, in the vasomotor center, you will find it is also called vasoconstrictor area or pressure area. We will find vasodilator area or depressor area. Okay, and another thing is sensory area. I talked about will be operating some reflexes. Reflexes need center. Reflexes need receptors. Reflexes need afferent path, also need efferent path. Then only the reflex action will be there. So for some changes, the receptor will be stimulated and this will be carried to the center by afferent nerve or sensory nerve. Now the center will make a decision what to be done. So now this will be going through the efferent nerves to the affected organs. Here our affected organ is heart. We'll see how these reflexes operate. Sometimes the question comes, describe the sinoatrial reflexes or sinoatrial mechanism in controlling heart rate or in controlling blood pressure. Sinoatrial mechanism. Okay, so you will find, so what is there? There will be sensory area, what is happening in the blood vessels, what is happening in the artery, in the heart, that information will be given to the vasomotor center. In which center? Sensory area. We will discuss what is there in sensory area. So depending on this input from the heart and from the blood vessel, it will decide what to be done. So this will be, when it is decided, it has to be executed. So this will be executed by to this area, either by pressure area or by the depressor area. So if it is needed, blood pressure has to be increased, so pressure area will be increased. Okay, pressure area is nothing but it is the center for sympathetic nervous system. It is the center of the sympathetic nervous system. This is the pressure area. This area of medulla, rostral ventrolateral medulla. This area rostral ventrolateral medulla contains this nucleus. What are these? There are some nuclei. So these are called pressure area or vasoconstrictor area. Why? When you apply stimulation to this area, what happens? They send, it is having a neuron. This neuron ends in where? Our spinal cord. I am taking a section of the spinal cord. This H-shaped portion is the gray matter, and these are white matter. The white matters are having myelinated nerve fibers, and here non-myelinated nerve fibers. In the latter, in this horn, this white gray matter, there are group of nucleus. This group of nucleus, this is one group, this is another group, this is another group. This group is called anterior. This is the ventral part. Ventral part of the anterior part of the spinal cord. So this is called anterior horn cell. Anterior horn cells. And these are posterior part, posterior horn cells. And these are the lateral part, lateral horn cells. Actually, our sympathetic nerves, they get originated from these. There are the neurons. So this neuron passes through this anterior root. This is the root, anterior root. Anterior means door, through which the nerves will be, efferent nerves will be coming out of the spinal cord. And there is posterior root. Here is the posterior root. The nerves entering into the spinal cord, going to brain, enters to posterior root. So this area, this pressure area sends excitatory impulse. Positive means excitatory impulse to the lateral horn cells. Now the lateral horn cells, from lateral horn cells, one neuron, and at the side of the spinal cord you will find chain of spinal ganglia. You will find chains of this is spinal cord, this is the spinal ganglia. So which segment will be involved? There are a lot of segments, in spinal segments. Which segments will be involved in controlling heart? T1 to T5. T1 to T5 segment. T stands for thoracic. Thoracic segment 1. Before thoracic, what is there? Cervical segment. So thoracic segment 1, 2, 3, 4 and sometimes 5. So from them these nerves, from the lateral horn cells, these nerves are coming out from the lateral horn cells, and these are the roots. Ganglia 1, superior cervical ganglia, these are the superior cervical ganglia. So they are entering here. And terminated, forms a synapse. Okay, so you can see these nerves are originated from, as I said, where? Lateral horn cells. Lateral horn cells are getting impulse from vasomotor center. So here they are ending from here through synapse. New nerve is formed, and this is entering in the ganglia. Here they will be formed from sinus. So this part of the neuron, that are originating from here, ending here in the ganglia. This part is called preganglionic fiber. Preganglionic neuron, preganglionic fiber. You see, this fiber, length of the fiber is short. Why? The ganglia lies close to the spinal cord. That's why it is. From the ganglia, postsynaptic neuron, the postsynaptic neuron will arise. Postsynaptic neuron will arise and they will terminate in heart. Where? SA node, AV node, bundle of his, atrial muscle, ventricle muscle. And they will what? Stimulate all these areas. And these are sympathetic, excitatory, and what they will cause? When they are ending in SA node, cerebral impulse will be increased, heart rate will be increased. Okay? They are also affecting atrium, force of contraction. They will cause increase in force of contraction of the cardiac muscle. And they are also stimulating the bundle of his, AV node. They will increase the conductivity also. It has got this adrenaline from their nerve endings. From its nerve endings, adrenaline or epinephrine will be secreted. Now all these will be having 4 effects. How many effects? 4 effects. And these are positive, means increased. Every function will be increased. Number 1, heart rate will be increased. This is called positive. And the result is positive increase, and the result is a positive chronotrophic effect. Positive chronotrophic effect. And they will also increase the conductivity, nodal conductivity. How fast it is coming. Now it will take less time to be conducted to the muscles. So conductivity is increased. Okay. Then there is excitability of the cells will be increased. There is also contractility, ability to contract ventricular muscles, the ability of the ventricular muscles will also be increased. So what are their effect? Excitability will be increased, rate will be increased, conductivity will be increased, and contractility will be increased. So as a whole, all the activities of the heart is increased. As a whole, cardiovascular activity of the performance of the heart will be increased. More force, more blood it can eject, and rapidly it is doing this thing. So as a result, the performance of the activity, cardiac activity is increased. Okay, is that clear? So this way, you see, vasoconstrictor area. This is this area. From this area only, lateral nerve fiber going to lateral horn cells. I'll show another diagram. This one, you see. So, this is the pressure area. Come here. This is the pressure area. So, from here some neurons are coming to the lateral horn cells. So, from the lateral horn cells, preganglionic fiber is coming to the ganglia. From the ganglia, postganglionic fiber is arising and distributing to the different parts of the heart. Means SA node, AV node, bundle of his, and the auricular and ventricular muscles. So when this part is stimulated, so this stimulation will be going to the heart and will cause increase in heart rate. Okay, so we have seen how heart rate is increased. Let us see how heart rate is decreased. Means this is the sympathetic part. Now let us see how parasympathetic part acts. In the medulla, we have talked about pressure area, depressor area. Okay. So you want to increase your heart rate. Who will be stimulated? Pressure area. You want to decrease your heart rate. Which area will be decreased? Deep pressure area. So deep pressure area will suppress the activity of the pressure area. Now the pressure area will not be sending any impulse to the lateral horn cells. Means sympathetic activity will be reduced. Means heart rate will be reduced. Okay, so how depressor area acts? Depressor area will inhibit the pressure area. Depressor area will inhibit the pressure area. Okay, so now let us see as a result, the pressure will be sending less impulse to the later horn cells. So no later horn cell activity is reduced. So less impulse will be coming to the heart. So heart rate will be reduced. So this is the function of pressure area, depressor area. Now let us see the parasympathetic action. So parasympathetic center also lies in medulla. What are these? It constitutes three nuclei. One is nucleus tractus solitarius, NTS. Nucleus tractus solitarius. Another is nucleus ambiguous. Another is dorsal nucleus of vagus. Vagus nerve, they are parasympathetic nerve. From which nuclei they originate? This is dorsal nucleus of vagus. And another nucleus is also there from where vagus nerve originates. This is nucleus ambiguous. So there are two nucleus ambiguous, vagus nerve originate. And this is dorsal nucleus of vagus. It is also called dorsal motor nucleus. So this is also giving vagus nerve. So what are the origin of the vagus nerve? Dorsal nucleus of vagus and the other one, dorsal nucleus of vagus, nucleus ambiguous. Nucleus ambiguous. We can see this part and these two nucleus under inhibitory control of this center. What is this center? This is nucleus tractus solitarius. Did you hear the name of this center? No? How come? Control of respiration, control of breathing, neural control. So if you don't know the action of the NTS, nucleus tractus solitarius, this is they also produce the inspiratory drive. Without the action of this NTS, you cannot inhale, inspire. Inspiratory drive would not be there. So this is important. NTS, nucleus tractus solitarius, this is not only involved in regulation of breathing, this is also involved in regulation of heart rate. Okay, I'll take 10 minutes extra because I entered the room, the lecture was barricaded after 10 minutes. So we can see these two origin of vagus nerve is again under the inhibition of nucleus tractus solitarius. So the bottom two, dorsal nucleus of vagus and nucleus ambiguous, they are always sending, continuously sending, always sending impulse through the vagus to the nerve, to the heart. Continuously it is there. So sometimes it is needed, Hare Baba, stop. Who will be stopping? Nucleus tractus solitarius. When it will be stopping? When nucleus tractus solitarius got information from the periphery, sir, do something. In the periphery something is wrong. Okay, our heart rate is reduced too much by these two vagus. So immediately inhibit them. So when they will be inhibited, so they will not be sending inhibitory impulse to the SA node. So when this inhibition is withdrawn, then SA nodal or sympathetic activity will be increased automatically. See, the heart is having both supply. Sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic tries to increase, parasympathetic tries to decrease. So your present heart rate is because of contribution, balance of both. Parasympathetic, it is lowering the heart rate. Sympathetic, it is increasing the heart. So simultaneously both are there. So if you cut both the nerve, what will happen? No parasympathetic activity will be there, inhibition will be there. As a result, you will find your resting heart rate is not 72 or 70 or 80, it is 110. That means what? That means this ascenote's heart is always under some tone, vagal tone. So when this tone is withdrawn, heart rate will be increased. Similarly, there is also tone of the sympathetic tone. When you increase the sympathetic tone, the heart rate will be increased. Always tone is there, but you can increase, decrease. When you are increasing the tone, then heart rate will be increased. When you are increasing the venous tone, and these are regulated whether to increase sympathetic tone or decrease, whether to increase the vagal activity or it is to lower, this will be determined by only the medulla. Let us see how it is doing. The NTS, this NTS is the sensory area. It collects information from the blood vessels and from the heart. What is happening there? If it is too much low, so this gentleman is the main boss, nucleus, tractus, solitarius. So he will decide what to do, whom to inhibit, whom to inhibit. Now I need, it is what is happening, the blood heart rate is too much less. There is bradycardia. And who has done it? Vagus. Now vagus activity has to be stopped. So nucleus tractus, getting this information from the periphery, it influences negatively the two vagus nerve. As a result, vagus nerve will not stimulate will not liberate acetylcholine. As a result, heart rate will be increased. Acetylcholine always suppresses the heart activity. Okay, so this way it balances. Now suppose if there is too much of heartbeat, tachycardia. So what to be done? Two things has to be done, and it will be done by the nucleus already. One thing, heart rate has to be lowered. I can lower it by two means. One, by increasing parasympathetic activity, vagal activity, so it will suppress the activity. At the same time, inhibiting the sympathetic activity. So two ways it will manage. First, vagal activity will be reduced. Why vagal activity reduced? Because no. What is happening? What is the condition? Tachycardia or bradycardia? Huh? Tachycardia. So tachycardia means very high heart rate. So I have to lower. So for lowering, who will be the person? Vagus nerve. Vagus nerve will lower. So there will be vagal stimulation. Means how it will do it? This negative influence will be withdrawn. I have withdrawn it, now you act. You act continuously. No negative inhibition on you. No control on you. Now you send impulse. So it will reduce the heart rate. And moreover, it will cause the pressure area to inhibit. Now the pressure area will not be sending sympathetic impulse to the lateral horn cells. Lateral horn cells will not be sending any impulse to SA node, AB node and all that. So cardiac activity will be reduced. So that way managed. Now the question is, who are these persons? Who are these persons sending information to the NTS? Who are these informers? there are two types of informers. One is baroreceptor, another is chemoreceptors. Okay, one other is baroreceptor, another is chemoreceptors. Let's say, what is this? Aorta. On the wall of the aorta, there are some receptors, baroreceptors. When aorta is too much distended, means increased blood pressure, then these baroreceptors will be stimulated. And this information will be sent to the NTS. Vagus nerve is a mixed nerve. It is not only efferent, it is also having sensory. Okay. It brings informations brings informations from the blood vessels, from the heart to the brain. Also brings information from the brain to the heart. So that's why it is mixed now. Okay. So see, this information, when they are stimulated by increased blood pressure, it is the aortic nerve. Now this aortic nerve joins with 10th vagus nerve, 10th cranial nerve. And now they will be ending, going to the medulla and will be ending into the NTS, nucleus, tractus, solitarius. So information, this way it gets the information from here. Also, what are these? Carotid artery. Now this internal carotid or external carotid artery. So here is the carotid sinus. On the wall of the carotid sinus, there are also some baroreceptors. The blood that is going to enter into the brain, so there is a check valve. Array, this blood is having high pressure. There may be injury in the head. Okay, so they get stimulated. Pressure is high. What are these? Baroreceptors of the carotid sinus. Sinus. This inflated area is the sinus. So there is this this will be going to 9th cranial nerve. And this nerve, initial part of this nerve is the carotid nerve, or also it is also called herring nerve. So now this herring nerve will join with the 9th cranial nerve, then 9th, 10th, 9th also will be ending into the NTS. So the NTS is getting information from two sources. One is carotid sinus, another is aortic baroreceptors. And why they are stimulated? Because of increase in blood pressure. So when the blood pressure is increased, this information is sent to NTS. Now what to do? Blood pressure has to be reduced. How this center will be? It will now inhibit whom? Sympathetic nervous system. Okay. Now sympathetic nervous system not only, remember everybody, see, sympathetic nervous system not only supplies the heart, it also supplies the blood vessels, the smooth muscles of the blood vessels. When this nerve will be stimulated, they will increase the activity of the heart as well as there will be constriction of the blood vessels. As a result, there will be more heartbeat, more blood circulation, more vasoconstriction, means there will be increasing blood pressure. Okay, so now if sympathetic nerve is inhibited, then blood pressure will come down to normal. So this is how it works. So this is the sinoatrial baroreceptor mechanism. They are stimulated by increased blood pressure. Information carried to medulla NTS, medullary NTS, by whom? From here, aortic nerve, then vagus, and from here, from sinus nerve, then through 9th cranial nerve to medulla. So this is the efferent path. And what will be the? Reflexly, they will be stimulated, increased blood pressure. Stimulation will come to NTS. Now NTS will suppress the activity of the pressure area. At the same time, it will withdraw its negative effect on vagal, dorsal nucleus of vagus, so that they can increase the activity of the parasympathetic activity. Okay, another receptor is there. This is chemoreceptors. These are, here also you find some chemoreceptors. Here, these are called carotid body. Here also you will get some chemoreceptors. These are aortic body. This aortic body and carotid body, they look like onion. In onion, what is there? What is there? Layers of what? So similarly, in these layers of cells you will get. These are called glomus cells. In between, they are highly vascularized, these glomus cells. And these cells are very sensitive to chemical changes in the blood. What are these chemical changes? Low oxygen in blood, increased carbon dioxide in blood, decreased pH means increased hydrogen concentration. So how they will be stimulated? If pH is lowered, means hydrogen concentration is in, when blood becomes acidic, and also when blood oxygen level is less, means when you will be anoxic, there will be hypoxia, they will be stimulated. When hypoxia, carbon dioxide accumulation will be increased, so they will be increased. They will be stimulated. So stimulation comes. Why they are stimulated? Why these are accumulated? When these are accumulated? Your blood levels of carbon dioxide accumulated when? Your blood levels of oxygen is lowered when? Your blood levels of pH is lowered. Hydrogen concentration increased when? When your respiration is suppressed. Your respiration is suppressed. You are not able to inhale properly, exhale properly. Then there will be hypoxia. In the blood there will be less oxygen, and the tissue has already produced a lot of carbon dioxide. These are accumulated in blood. They are unable to wash out through expiration, because expiration is also suppressed. As a result, there will be accumulation of carbon dioxide and low PO2, low oxygen tension in the blood. And because of increased carbon dioxide, they will react with water to form H2CO3. Now this will be dissociated into hydrogen ion. So because of this, hydrogen ion will also be increased because of suppression of breathing. So in such case, these cells will be stimulated. These aortic bodies, these chemoreceptors present here, these are called aortic body, and here you will find a carotid body, they get stimulated. When these are stimulated, so there should be some afferent path. So this path also, they also they pass through this aortic nerve, but they don't lose their identity. The fibers, there is a trunk, but the fibers pass through this. Okay, lot of car passes through the road. Okay, so individual cars are there. So here also, this is the road. So they follow this road. What is the road? What is the track? This is the aortic nerve. So carotid body also passes through the aortic nerve. Then through vagus, it will be coming to NTS. So NTS collects information also from carotid body. These are again carried by the same nerve, same route, but they are separate from one another. They are separate, they don't get mixed up. They remain, keep their identity. So they all comes to the NTS and sends their input. So NTS, when NTS finds, what happened? Lot of carbon dioxide, there is no immediately what has to be done? Cardiac activity, respiration has to be increased. So NTS, I told it is one of the center for respiration. So it will increase the breathing. At the same time, it will increase the cardiac activity. As a result, there will be carbon dioxide will wash out, more oxygen will be entering to the blood, and the carbon dioxide that has produced the hydrogen ion, again there will be a reduction in concentration of hydrogen ion. Okay, so this way, sinoatrial mechanism controls the heart rate. See, as I said, the brain, medulla, it is heavy influence for higher center. Higher center means cerebral cortex. Cerebral cortex area 16 or area 13. Area 13 possibly, area 13, cerebral cortex. This area is concerned with your emotion. When there is any emotional change, it goes to the limbic system. This impulse goes to the limbic system. Now limbic system will be sending it to the hypothalamus. Now hypothalamus will decide whether stimulatory impulse or inhibitory impulse has to be sent. So hypothalamus send according to this to the vasomotor center. Now vasomotor center will be modified according to the wish of the hypothalamus. So this way, hypothalamus or the emotion, our emotion, say when so what hypothalamus will do? So suppose we are excited, lot of excitement, or we are waiting for Vaibhavusi. Okay, so what happens? So it has to, we adopt two mechanisms to combat stress. One is flight, another is fight. Okay, to do this, so for fighting, you need energy. For fleeing away, you also need energy. That's why it will be increased. Heart rate will be increased. You will be, whatever you do, either you flight or you fight. So whatever you do, you need energy. That's why energy production is increased. Now you decide what you will do. Okay. So that's why during excitement, your heart rate is increased. Okay. No need of this. I have less time. So control of hypothalamus on vasomotor we have learned. And another thing is important. Another question may come. What is Bain-Breeze reflex? Bain-Breeze. Not brain. B-A-I-N. Bain-Breeze reflex. What is this? Right there. So, question may come. So, Bain-Breeze reflex. What is this reflex? Bain-Breeze reflex. Suppose your heart rate is reduced. Heart is not pumping properly. By this time, lot of blood is accumulated in superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and in right atrium. Since it is not contracting, sending the blood in insufficient amount. Less blood it is ejecting. As a result, what happens? From the periphery, lot of blood is coming to the heart, so they cannot enter into the ventricle. So they are stored in superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, in right atrium. And they will cause distension of the right atrium and vena cava. So on the wall of this area, these vessels and atrium, there are special kind of receptors. These are called volume receptors. What is this? Not baroreceptor. These are volume receptors. Where they are present? On the wall of the right atria, on the wall of the inferior vena cava. So these volume receptors are stimulated when there is accumulation of lot of blood. There will be distension. As a result, volume receptors will be stimulated. Now this stimulation will go again to the NTS. NTS is such a center, all the inputs regarding cardiovascular system Cardiovascular inputs, what is going on in cardiovascular system? All the inputs are coming to the NTS. That's why this NTS is called the sensory center. It receives sensation from outside. So here also, now what to do? All this, you have to increase the activity of the heart. So that this blood is coming, so that can come to the ventricle and you can eject it into the circulation. So stimulation of these volume receptors, because of accumulation of the blood in the venous system, what will be there? This volume receptor will be stimulated and the NTS will increase the activity of the sympathetic nerve. Sympathetic nerve activity will be increased, heart rate will be increased. Now the accumulated blood will be pumped out. So this reflex is called Bain-Briggs reflex. Understood?